The TV studio pulsed with the restless energy of a nation glued to its screens. Hot lights blazed down on the sleek glass debate table, where Melania sat poised in her crisp white suit, her practiced smile frozen in place. Across from her, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett leaned forward, a half-smirk playing at the corner of her mouth as she waited for the moderator to finish a question no one would remember. Asterisk rows of audience members sat hushed in the darkened seating area behind the cameras, phones clutched tight, some already streaming the spectacle live. On social media, hashtags with both women's names trended worldwide before the first real blow even landed. Asterisk the moderator cleared his throat, sensing the static in the air. He glanced at Jasmine, who didn't break eye contact with Melania. Congresswoman Crockett, your response? Asterisk Jasmine tucked a stray lock of hair behind her ear, her eyes glinting under the studio lights. She leaned closer to her microphone, voice smooth but sharp enough to cut. Asterisk, you know, it's funny. Melania, you stand there lecturing America about honesty and family values. But the truth is, she let the words hang, a hush stretching, the tension tight enough to snap. The truth is, you've been living a double life. Should we pretend we don't know? Or should I tell them about your secret trips to Milan and that little getaway in the Bahamas with someone who sure as hell wasn't your husband? Asterisk a ripple of shocked murmurs rolled through the studio audience. The moderator's eyes darted between them, throat working as he scrambled for control. Asterisk Melania's perfect posture stiffened. She tilted her head slightly, forcing a dismissive laugh that didn't quite reach her eyes. Desperate lies. Congresswoman, you're grasping at rumors. Is this really how low you'll sink for attention? Asterisk but Jasmine only leaned back in her chair, crossing her arms like a queen who already knew the checkmate was inevitable. Asterisk oh, Melania, she said, almost pitying, voice dripping with restrained triumph. I don't need rumors. I have proof. And if you'd like, we can share every sordid detail with America tonight, should we? Asterisk phones rose higher in the crowd. Producers behind the cameras whispered frantically into headsets. In that charged moment, you could almost hear the country holding its breath. The tension in the studio thickened, almost choking. Somewhere offstage, a boom mic dipped to low, catching the ragged edge in Melania's breathing as she forced her lips into something like a smile. Her fingers drummed on the polished table, the only giveaway that the mask was cracking. Asterisk Jasmine didn't look away. She reached into the stack of folders beside her, flicking them open with calm precision. Paper rustled like a drum roll for the execution. Asterisk you see, Melania, the thing about secrets is they don't stay buried forever, Jasmine said, her voice a low blade that cut through the gasps and shuffling feet. She lifted a glossy photo, holding it up for the cameras under the studio lights. The image gleamed, Melania in sunglasses and a sun hat, laughing beside a man who was definitely not her husband. The date stamp glowed at the bottom corner. Asterisk a collective intake of breath. The moderator tried to interject, his voice cracking. Congresswoman Crockett, we cannot verify. Asterisk Jasmine ignored him. She flipped to the next page. Printouts of email chains, hotel invoices, all clipped together with neon tabs. She slid them across the table toward Melania, who stared at them like they were a bomb about to detonate. Asterisk you booked the penthouse under an alias, but your companion didn't cover his tracks quite so well, did he? Jasmine's words were soft now, almost gentle. She tapped the documents with a manicured finger. Shall I read the messages out loud, or do you want to do it yourself? Maybe explain how family values fit into beachfront champagne breakfasts with your lover while your husband was on a campaign tour. Asterisk a man in the front row of the audience stifled a gasp that turned into a shocked laugh. Reporters began typing furiously, eyes darting between Jasmine's steady hand and Melania's pallid face. Asterisk Melania found her voice, a hoarse whisper that cracked like glass. This is fabricated. All of it. Slander. She tried to push the papers away, but they stuck to her trembling fingers. Asterisk Jasmine sat back in her chair, folding her hands neatly in her lap, her expression a mask of righteous calm. Receipts don't lie, Melania. The only question is whether you'll keep lying to the people watching tonight. Asterisk somewhere in the darkness beyond the stage, a phone buzzed with breaking news alerts. The moderator had given up pretending. He was in charge. The stage belonged to Jasmine now, and the whole country knew it. A roar of murmurs and half-shouted questions swallowed the studio in the seconds. After Jasmine's final words, the moderator's voice was now just white noise, drowned out by the rising tide of chaos. Cameramen jockeyed for a better angle, lenses fixed on Melania, whose chest rose and fell to fast beneath her tailored suit jacket. Her aide, a young woman in a headset, pushed past a line of startled producers and knelt by Melania's side, whispering frantically in her ear. Melania's eyes didn't move. She just stared at the incriminating papers spread before her, the photos, the emails, the receipts, each one a nail hammered into the coffin of the life she'd so carefully curated for the cameras. A bead of sweat slipped down her temple. Catching in the harsh light, she tried to speak, her lips parting with a faint clicking sound, but the words tangled in her throat. Somewhere in the audience, a spectator's ringtone chirped, a pop song that felt absurd against the suffocating silence on stage. Melania's eyes flicked up at Jasmine, who watched her without pity, arms folded, a slight frown that might almost have been sympathy, but wasn't. Jasmine didn't move. As the moderator leaned in, voice hoarse with panic, "We need to cut to break. Somebody get medical." The aide touched Melania's shoulder. "Ma'am, we need to go. Now, stand up. We can still get ahead of this. Please, you have to stand up." Melania's mouth twitched at the corners, a last attempt at composure that curdled into something like a grimace. She braced her hands on the table for a heartbeat. It seemed she'd pull herself together, lift her chin, deny it all again, with that icy elegance everyone knew, but her knees buckled. Papers fluttered to the floor like snow as her body swayed, then dropped, hitting the polished stage with a sickening, echoing thud. A gasp sucked the air out of the room. A cameraman cursed as he scrambled backward, filming all of it. Shouts for paramedics mixed with the frantic click of phones and camera shutters. Jasmine didn't move. She sat perfectly still as chaos erupted around her, the queen in the middle of a toppled house of cards. All she did was glance down at Melania's crumpled form, then back at the roaring crowd, and waited. The footage looped endlessly, Melania's eyes wide with disbelief, the papers spilling from her hands, the stunned hush as her body hit the polished floor. Every news network replayed it, each angle dissected by experts, late-night comedians, and self-appointed moral guardians on social media. Hashtags multiplied like wildfire. Hashtag MELANIA collapse. Hashtag Affairgate. Hashtag Crockett Bombshell. Cable. Panels lined up guests who claimed they'd known all along. Old acquaintances appeared on morning shows with blurred faces and disguised voices, trading secondhand gossip for a few minutes of fame. Clips of Jasmine Crockett's cold, steady voice went viral, spliced over ominous music, cut with dramatic captions in neon font. "Secrets have consequences." Inside a drab hospital waiting room, Melania's inner circle huddled behind tinted windows. Dodging reporters clustered at every entrance. Doctors issued vague statements, exhaustion, dehydration, but the questions had already outgrown any spin. Her husband's team scrambled to draft statements, debating whether to stand by her or quietly step away to salvage what they could. Meanwhile, Jasmine stood behind a podium in a cramped press room downtown, hair pulled back, voice unwavering as a forest of microphones pointed at her. Flashbulbs popped as she faced the questions head-on. "I didn't set out to humiliate anyone," she said, her tone measured but unyielding. "I set out to protect the public from hypocrisy and lies. The American people deserve leaders who live by the values they preach. If the truth brings someone down, that's their doing, not mine." Behind her, an aide held up a tablet with fresh poll numbers flickering across the screen. Jasmine's approval rating surging in real time. Commentators already whispering about presidential runs and talk show tours. In living rooms and crowded bars, families and strangers argued over dinner plates and glowing TVs. Some cursed Jasmine for the public spectacle. Others toasted her for tearing down the carefully polished lie. Talk shows booked panels for weeks, ethics professors, marriage counselors, crisis PR gurus, all dissecting the anatomy of the scandal. Asterisk, but for Melania, locked away behind hospital walls, the world outside had already made up its mind. The stage where she'd once dazzled with her perfect poise was now just a battlefield she'd lost. And everyone was still watching, waiting for what secrets would crawl out next from beneath the wreckage of her immaculate life.